Soil School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by the Ontario Soil Network.
Bernard Tobin here on Real Agriculture. Today I am talking soil with Tim Williams near Petrolia, Ontario. Tim, how's it going?
Good, very good.
Hey, thanks for taking the time here on the Soil School. I want to talk about your soil, your approach to conservation, but first of all, let's talk about the farm. Give me a snapshot.
Well, we're running, myself and our family, we're running about 1,000 acres of cash crop land. We work about land in Enniskillen, St. Clair Township, the Sarnia area, and south of Petrolia. So it's kind of a real variability of land in that area. Mm-hmm. So we have corn, soybeans, and wheat in a rotation. We attempt to have it like a third. Yeah. With the weather we've been having, that's been a trial, but that's what we try to do. Mostly minimum till, no till across all the acres.
Right, minimum till, no till, planting cover crops. You know, a lot of things that your colleagues at the Ontario Soil Network do. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to talk about here today, which is really interesting, is something you do called profitability mapping for conservation. Explain that concept.
What I look at with our land is we have a lot of areas where we do have bush along the outside, ditches, and just areas around the outside that don't grow anything. Now, no matter what we try.
Buffer strip just like this, right?
That's right. A lot right by a tree line. And I've got yield maps for a lot of my farms dating back to 2011. And one thing I keep seeing across these fields is the same red line, which means zero yield by certain areas of the field.
Right
usually
around the outside.
On the outside, by the trees, by the big woodlots and so on, that no matter what I do, I'm not going to harvest anything from it.
Right. So you have decided, from a profitability perspective, to sort of turn those into buffer strips, right?
That's right, yeah. So we look at that. Instead of working them every year, I'm trying to grass them down into like a permanent pasture or alfalfa. So they become an area, instead of being into a crop, it becomes a permanent headland. And in this case here, we took a cutoff for hay for a couple cattle that we have. So we take it out of production. So just looking at soybeans, for instance, it costs $250 an acre. To grow soybeans, and yet I'm not harvesting anything. So I just spent $250 on that acre. I'm better off not putting anything in it, but I have a buffer strip that I can run the grain buggy on, the pickup trucks, and turn on it with the equipment. And I look at that from a dollars and cents per that acre. I'm far better off not planting that. And that being said, the rest of the field, that crop average, my yield actually goes up. For instance, I've got one farm with a 2-acre buffer strip around it, and you go from a 48.5 bushel per acre yield to 50, and that's advantageous on many sides. So I'm looking at it from a point where I'm getting, well, for instance here, I've got healthy beans right along the edge. If this field was planted to the trees, there'd be nothing here, or very few, and probably a bunch of weeds in them.
Yep.
So it's advantageous that way. From a dollars and cents, it's making me money. And let's not even think about the fact that it's environmentally, it's much better to hold the water on these edges than letting it flow off the farm. So just on a dollars and cents, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So
talk about compaction as well.
That's right. So these edges of these fields, these headlands, that's where all the compaction is, from the turning and so on. So I'm putting the compaction in an area that's not being harvested. So by that, I'm decreasing the compaction in the rest of the field or on that edge. So there's a double advantage to that too.
Right. So Tim, we're standing in one of your buffer zones here right now, pretty much a grass mix. You've got these more and more around your farm. Watch the mix in there, and I guess how many acres of this buffer are you going to have? Would you like to have?
I'd probably like to have, when I'm done, if we ever get a not good weather in the spring where we can get at it, probably about, I'd say 6, 7, maybe 10 acres of this across the different fields. What I've been using for a mix in here is a what most companies have is called a lowland pasture mix. So it does well under wet conditions. Multiple species of grasses, alfalfa. There's a bit of clover in it. But after 2 or 3 years, the grass is there. That's really what is going to establish it and stay for the long run.
Yeah. So very cool. Managing compaction, managing inputs, costs, increasing yields, managing the water in the main field by creating this buffer, and compaction. Have I got it all?
I think so.
And it all comes down to, just better soil health on your farm.
That's right. Overall, it's a benefit for the whole field. It keeps more water on my farm, and we hope that in long term, with these buffer strips, they're going to get better infiltration to the tile, and in the long run, it'll be healthier for these areas also.